Wakefield. It's the IST Meme Show starring Noldog, inviting you to join Noldog and his guest for this week's show, returning back for the fourth time, Robert Cruz Perry. And now, here he is. Here's Noldog.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a while since we last chatted. A lot of stuff's happened to the show. But besides that bullshit, I'm so happy that you're back again, or for the first time, coming to the show, the IST Meme Show. You actually know that we've got such a great show today. My dear friend, brother for life, Rob Cruz, Mr. Robert Cruz Perry, I should say, is back on for not the first, not the second, or the third, or it should be not for the second or third, but for the fourth time he is back on the show. We're going to discuss NBA playoff basketball, National O.J. Simpson Appreciation Day, what happened last week with the show, the Floyd Mayweather Jake Paul fight, and so much. But you're going to want to stay with us as we're right back with the program. See you soon. 10. And welcome back to the show. I want to thank you so much for staying with us through the commercial break. What we do now in this segment of the show is I always do in every single episode, besides last week's, of course, which we'll talk about later in the show. This is a segment I like to call the IST Meme Show News Cycle, or commonly known as What Happened This Past Week with Noldog. And what I do there is I tell jokes and talk about current events to my best ability, sports, entertainment, I try politics, health, I try business, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, let us get to it. In the first news story of the IST Meme Show news cycle, we head to politics. In a set of events that not even the late great Robin Williams could pull off, it seems as though the former guy created another batch of memes for himself. Like Myers Leonard being caught in 4K on Twitch, Trump spoke at a North Carolina political rally with his pants on, you guessed it, backwards, not forwards, but backwards. It looked like a diaper under the pants. Talk about getting sound. Trump was more down bad this past weekend than Brittany Griner saying she could beat pre-washed up Olympian DeMarcus Cousins one-on-one in basketball. Boom. I mean, seriously, you can stumble and stumble and slur his words like he always did, but to wear his pants backwards for someone who says they're a genius is pretty cringe. Like you would think, someone would tell him that. And that's coming from a guy who had to take down last week's episode because the guest was too nervous. Boom, that's a roast on me. In a moment that made Rand Paul, Jim Jordan, and Matt Gaetz pray to Jesus, they so-called worship, Dr. Anthony Fauci recently had his emails from the beginning of the pandemic leaked, whereas to Marjorie Taylor Greene typing out June 3rd, an official document she sent to Joe Biden. The Republicans had more of a field day with this than your elementary school on the last day of school. That was butchered. They'll look back on this for the next 20 years like your parents at a high school reunion. I butchered that joke. I'm sorry. Some disheartening and uncomfortable news. Parp the child actor turned shitty musician Drake Bell has been charged with attempted endangerment of a child with creepy DMs surfacing. From being called a boob by a young girl to being hit with 2010's Macaulay Culkin with his music career, he's down more than Chad Ochocinco at the end of his Showtime fight this past weekend. Boom, that's a mega roast. I guess people are more desperate to get attention for a has-been child actor than old people with telemarketers. Boom. And what was more embarrassing than your aunt pointing out how you're growing facial hair? The Mayweather vs. Paul fight happened this past weekend to a complete dud, an absolute dud. I don't know what was more stupid, the rules of the quote fight, if you would even call it that, or them hugging at the end like high school girls seeing friends when they're done with college at the end of the semester or year. Boom. It was more cringe than the popular girls on Instagram giving motivation on a fat girl's Instagram post. Boom. In a weird set of events like Karen arguing in a youth soccer game, a man recently tried and failed at hijacking a Delta flight to Nashville this past weekend. He failed more miserably than the Democrats trying to impeach Trump not once but twice last year during his presidency. Boom. And of all companies, you choose to hijack a Delta flight. What? Delta? And of all the plane companies, Delta you choose. They're less relevant than the supporting cast of Jersey Shore after the show ended. Boom. That was a good one right there, I have to admit. Some disappointing news. Golf superstar John Ram had to withdraw from the Memorial Tournament this past weekend with a 6-shot lead after contracting COVID-19. That's actually really sad, though, to be honest. There was more pain in his eyes when finding out about this than an airhead sorority girl turning down a dude not from Greek life. Boom. There was more frustration in his face than a Karen not seeing cops arrest a teen male for just standing still and breathing. Boom! That was a mega roast again. A news story, more quiet than Helen Keller waiting for response, controversial singer Sinead O'Connor announced her retirement from both music and touring officially. People cared more about Lara Trump running for public office and then not running than O'Connor retiring from music. Let's just say people generally laughed more at Jimmy Fallon's being funny than O'Connor retiring. Butcher that joke, kind of. And some Dr. Doofenshmirtz evil type beat, as the kids say. Democratic traitor Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia voted against changing the voting filibuster, giving Biden's progressive game plan a huge blow. Manchin not only looks like those crows that are randomly flying around you when you're in public, but he's also low key like one of the main characters in a movie's best in a movie, and they're the best friend, and they seem nice, and then they end up being evil as fuck. In a moment that was funnier than a woman lying about being a victim, controversial former football player Chad Ochocinco called out Conor McGregor after finishing his first boxing fight this past weekend. Ochocinco's comments were about as funny as a performer hack, as that musician performer hack tries making jokes during a performance at a kid's birthday party. Damn, I butchered that one. I'm sorry. I take a fortune teller more serious, and Ochocinco thinking he'll fight Conor McGregor next in his quote boxing career. Meanwhile, everyone in the mother's fighting now. Recently in the sports world, we celebrated the 20th anniversary of the moment when Allen Iverson stepped over Tyronn Lue. It's kind of sad when you're an NBA coach and the only thing you're known for is for being an adult munchkin for when an adult munchkin 2K cover athlete steps over you and being LBJ's bitch, including for a few years ago. Boom. Honestly, I don't know why I chose to do a joke on this, as I knew I'd butcher it worse than Africa trying to save their endangered species. Boom. That part was good. First part was bad. Sorry. A day that will live in infamy, like Trump winning both the 2016 and 2020 election for Republicans. Fans of NBA basketball and haters of LeBron James witnessed James losing the first one last weekend for the first time of his career against the Suns of all teams. Of all teams, the Suns. LeBron James acted so great during the series that he was nominated for the best lead actor in a comedy movie. He might as well quit sports because he played like straight dumpster fire. But butchered that. In some mind-boggling sports news, Danny Ainge has, quote, stepped down or retired and has been replaced by Brad Stevens as president of basketball operations, has begun to search for a new coach and the ability to not suck as much dick like a man in prison next season. The Celtics were up and down more than a fat and skinny kid on a seesaw at a playground. Boom, butchered that. Some news I thought they were trying to avoid In some news, I thought they were trying to avoid to breathe without being smothered. Okay. In some news, I thought, they were trying to escape saying, so they weren't smothered as they thought. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle welcomed their second child, Lily Diana Mountbatten Windsor. Jesus, that's a mouthful. The other day, like a tan girl with big tits, they can't get enough of it to leave it behind. That joke was worse than Merrick Garland siding with Trump in his rape case against Jean E. Carroll. By the fact the tan girl I meant, she deserves attention. In a first of news, it was announced that the FDA has granted historical approval to Alzheimer's during a drug to the Alzheimer's drug designed to slow cognitive decline. Somehow we can do this, but can't find the cure for why girls feel the need to share what country song they're listening to on their Instagram story. But I'm still curious about that. And finally, it's interesting tech and science news. To close out the Ice Day Meme Show news cycle for the week, it was announced that Jeff Bezos will be aboard Blue Origin's new Shepard spacecraft for its first human flight next month. Props to the U.S. government and PETA for allowing the first roided up, rapey-looking gecko to fly to space. Jeff Bezos is more creepy and uncomfortable than your next door neighbor's son moving back home. That's what happened this past week in the news with Nolan Dogs. That was right back with the show. Our guest for this week coming on for the fourth and much appreciated time, Robert Cruz Perry. I'll see you soon. And welcome back, everyone, to the Ice-T Meme Show. It's been a while since we have last seen each other. Although we did something last week, the outcome was not as we expected and wanted after everything was done and completed to a fine degree. So, and we'll discuss that later on in the program. but I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to do this. There's only a few weeks left, boys and girls, till the end of season 2 and the beginning of season 3, which hopefully it'll be when it picks up, but it's not like it hasn't picked up here on the show. And I thank you all for those who have joined us along the way, new people, old people who have joined us, from youngest crowd to the oldest crowd. I thank you very much. If you like what you are watching or listening to, depending on what service you're on, do me and Big Rob a favor by leaving a like, subscribing, follow, clicking that bell notification button, and sharing with your friends and family. What it does, it tells me that you enjoy it, as well as you're wanting other people to view it and stream it as well, because we want this to hit off to the moon like Elon Musk. So I thank you for that. And without further ado, I want to introduce my guest this week. Before I counted down, I mentioned, this is the 4th time he's been on, and it's been great ever since. And I've shared my thoughts on my dear friend and what our friendship means to me. And without further ado, the one and only, the wonderful Mr. Robert Cruz. I thank you, Rob, for doing this for me this week.
Thanks for having me for the 4th time.
Yeah, 4 is always a good number. The 4 horsemen. This 4th time on the episode. People just wanted you back on. I don't know what to say. They're like, they want more of Rob Cruz. It was such a great time when he on by himself twice and with Ryan, and now we want him back on. But no. As I say with most of my guests, I want people who I enjoy being around and who are wonderful to myself and who are grand people. So I thought, without a doubt, I should have him on. What I want to commend, though, is how you jump right to and say, yes, I can do it, sounds good, let me check my schedule, instead of pussyfooting around and saying, oh, I don't know, maybe we'll see, we'll have to check this and do that. It's, yep, I'll help you out with this, that sounds good. And there have been a few people in the past that I've done, especially for this episode, and I have to be frank, I hold the high spot in myself for Rob. But there are a few people I had thought of coming on, and I threw the question out there, and it was a lot of jump roping around and not knowing if they were going to commit to it. So I commend you on that. But I don't know. Thank you. Well, welcome back to the program. And what's been going on in old Uncle Rob's world since we were last on the show?
My ankle's healed a lot better now. I'm basically almost at that full recovery stage.
There you go.
And just working now, basically. Yeah. Getting back into the working groove.
Yeah, it's the which I wanted to get to now. I know, obviously, we both know, and obviously, I don't know how I can't know, because we talk to each other practically every day. But I'm wondering. So is the beach rock and rolling now that we're getting closer to 4th of July?
Oh yeah, it was. These past couple of days have been a scorcher.
Yeah.
So I guess I haven't worked those past couple of days, but just from hearing word of mouth, it was packed. A lot of people.
Now, obviously, the country, not just the state of Rhode Island, has been going in an upward trajectory, for getting back to normal. And obviously I would guess that you'd be working 4th of July at your beach probably, and for this year, obviously last year probably they didn't do it, and the year before that was different. What's it going to look like this year for you guys at Charlestown Beach?
Pretty much a lot different from last year. So masks aren't mandatory. We don't have to do a mandatory bathroom cleaning every 2 hours, and that's pretty much it. Everything's pretty much back to normal in a sense.
And then in terms of your camp, I know obviously we chat often about SK and what ours was like last year, and how yours was more free in the sense where you could do more stuff and had more liberties what to do. What's it looking like for Charlestown camp? Because I'm sure there's definitely guidelines or different rules this year compared to last year.
So counselors, if vaccinated, don't have to wear masks. Children outdoors don't have to wear masks. But say on a rain day where we're indoors, then the masks are required for the children, but not for the counselors, unless they prove that they have been vaccinated.
Yeah, which I doubt every kid's gonna be vaccinated by the end of June when my at least Discovery will be starting. I'm sure yours will be starting around the same time.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that? Will you still be doing that thing you mentioned last summer where it's every 2 weeks is a new group? Or is
No, it's 5 weeks of the same age group. So
okay.
it's just 4 groups for 5 weeks. Yeah. Yeah. 4 groups, 5 weeks.
Any new blood you can haze?
Counselor wise
Yeah,
or
counselor
yeah.
wise.
Yeah, there's a lot of new
How many
counselors.
how
A lot
many
of returning counselors.
how many were you able to, hire?
I'm trying to think. So there's 4 groups. It's about 2 to 3 in each
Uh
group. Some returning, some that I personally never worked with, but were there
uh
when I was at SK camp.
okay.
So let's say, but there are some new hires though.
Okay.
Some
Mostly
were
returning
stuff.
staff though. Mostly returning staff though, you'd say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's similar to SK. We started out, and obviously the majority, obviously in the group chat, they're all coming back, and which was a struggle for some because we weren't sure. But then we were gonna hopefully get at least one extra, so I wouldn't have to do someone's job for them. Although I did do that, and so I
That'd be
was like, okay,
awesome.
let's hire one person. That's fine. But I guess Vinny wanted to have a bunch of people apply for the job, like a dozen or so, and then we had 3 people hired, which is great because then you can have, 2 big groups or, I don't know, 6 groups of 3, whatever it might have been, or 3 groups of 3. I don't know. Anyways, and then we had one, which I'm sure you know what happened, and then one got back to, they were all fine, and then one was like, okay, let's do this, and then next thing you know, oh, sorry, I don't want it anymore, and we need to get back to limit time. So now we're
Uh,
down to just 2, and then those 2 people, I guess, were mentioned, hey, one of you is going to have to be, part time. That's just how it's going to work. One person will be full time. Oh, that's fine. Then apparently now one of them isn't coming back, and the rumor was that she wanted to work with her fucking boyfriend at Kingston camp. Ugh.
I know what you're talking
On the
about. Yeah.
pond, and I was like, no, that would have been great to have 2 people. So now we just have one person, and although I would love to have more like it used to be in the old days, but if one's still fine because now we have enough groups where I don't have to, maneuver around, do jobs. Although I'm sure Ryan would like to, have one last crack at trying to be, um, camp supervisor, but unfortunately, you're just going to be Null Dog again this year. But no, it'll be interesting. I think similar though to what you said, with the guidelines. I mean, I'm double vaxxed. I would hope the whole staff would be vaxxed by then, although it takes a while and some people are still nervous. But yeah, he said Vinny had said the same thing. We don't have to wear masks outside. Although when we were outside, we didn't have to. Besides the bathrooms, which is when you have to wear them, and then inside and stuff. So it'll be interesting. He's been struggling with field trips. I don't know what your case would be in terms of field trips if you do that at your camp. No field trips.
No,
Um,
not this year. No, it
no,
stinks, but it is what it is.
yeah, no, I know. Vinny was trying to get some field trips, and I guess it was hard to get people in contact. But he is playing. He said he was playing, and I guess it's confirmed. I don't know that launch. He's trying to get it because there's the trampoline, the laser tag, the Ninja Warrior course, bowling. And he's trying to get where we are there by ourselves before it opens, which would be good because me and Ryan can be like what we did at the Nerf place in the mill, when we were milling them down or knocking them down one after another like Rambo. But I'll be sure I haven't been there in a while, so I guess they've been doing well. But it's nothing like the place in not Foster. What's the sketchy the place where they had the
Fall
mill,
River.
Fall River, yeah, where Gia's mother didn't want her to go. There wasn't like that place where Liam went in and he was all crying, oh, it's too dark, when you almost had to stay back with him. Speaking of it, I know we mentioned it, or I mentioned it too, but Mr. Ruben, our fan favorite, is coming back now with his brother, so it's double trouble, like
Yeah.
Team Rocket. But I miss that kid a great a great deal. Okay, so now what I wanted to mention in this program, and yeah, it's fine. That's my channel, so I don't care. It's my show. And I voiced my frustration about it to Mr. Rob, my dear guest here for this episode. And by the way, you like what you're watching and listening to, subscribe, follow, like, and share. But last week, for those who are new, because I'm sure loads of people are listening and viewing and wondering what happened last week, I had recorded an episode. It was fine. And I put it out there, waiting it. It was great, scheduled it. It was awesome. The content wise, it was great. And then next thing I know, I'm getting 1,000 texts about it. And because I tagged the person, as I always do on Instagram, the account for the podcast. Soon I'll have a website. But I create Photoshop a picture and I try to make it a meme and type it up and all that stuff and give it a title and put it out there and thank my guest and blah 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 blah. Went out there and I tagged the guest along with my actual Instagram account and the podcast account. And then the guest saw it and then was like, oh my gosh, holy fuck, holy shit, oh, we need to redo this. Oh, I need to redo this. Oh, this is so bad. Oh, I'll be prepared next time. We still have a time chance. And I was like, nah, dog, it's gonna be a no from me, as Randy Jackson would say. And he was like, I don't have enough time because I'm very distracted and I can't concentrate a lot of times. So it takes me a long time to edit and record and do all that great stuff in post production and put it out there. It's a lot of work and I'm doing it all by myself because I don't have the budget to pay anybody to do it. And no one wants to do it for free. So I put out there, it was so great finally getting that done and looking forward to the next week. And then I get like a 1,000-paragraph senior thesis of fucking messages sent to me about how it needs to be down. And then I'm up at, where was it? No, it was at my house. And it was like, I get a text from a friend of mine, Jason Young, and he's like, oh yeah, she wants you to take it down now. And there was nothing given to why I should take it down. There's nothing sexist, misogynistic, racist, or anything like that in the video. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And then I get the Braden Q treatment. She was like, he was like, oh yeah, if you don't take it down, then she's gonna sue you. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Look, I mean, and Robin knows this. This isn't some big operation. I have 13 subscribers on YouTube, and I have 10 on the audio platform of Spotify and Apple Podcasts and those other ones. Barely any on SoundCloud. I get maybe at most, I think that my highest video is 61 views in like the 5 months it's been up there. So it's not like I'm generating a lot of traffic here. So to freak out about this much, it's not like John Cena is going to watch us. I mean, he could listen to it. I don't know. But it's like, what are you doing? We talked about club tennis at URI and what it was like for her when she first started out when the team wasn't that great. And then to now how she thought it's improved and how she was able to deal with that. And we talked about student teaching during a pandemic. I mean, it's a pretty interesting topic, I would think. And then we talked about social justice, and now she's all for that and promotes it and fights for that stuff. And nothing wrong with that. And what was that? My watch was going off. Anyways, we talked about fine stuff, and I was like, oh, this is so stupid. I put too much work into it, and I'm not going to do it the Wednesday or Thursday of. I did it with Dan McGovern a few weeks ago, which is fine. But I don't have enough time to put it out there, and I like to stick to a schedule, similar to work. And it was so heartbreaking having to take it down because the content wise and the traction was bringing to me. I had like 22 views, I think, or 25 views in 7 hours in one day, which wasn't that much, but that's a lot for myself because it probably would have been one of my top ones. So I had to take it down. Of course, she was fine afterwards. So it's sad, and I feel bad for everyone out there. And of course, Uncle Rob did a little recon and gave his 5 cents about it. And the thing is, being honest, what should I try to do on here? Be as free as I can and voice my opinion, what I think, what I say. And what I appreciate about Rob here, and he knows this, is that both on the same frequency in terms of what we find funny. I mean, obviously, we find stuff that we think is funny, and maybe the person doesn't, but we laugh at the same stuff. I mean, I've shared many stories on here and in person about the memories we have working together and stuff like that, and Applebee's and OJ Day, which is going to be his birthday, July 9th, or 3-2. It's going to be 2 days, by the way. I was going to mention this at the end, but I was thinking OJ Appreciation Day going to be March 2nd, because his number was 32 on the Bills, and the second one, July 9th, which is his birthday. And I don't know if it's this. I think this year is his 40th anniversary of his 39th birthday. I think so, which is a legendary holiday.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah, it's July. No, not June. No, July 9th, I believe it is.
Oh, July 9th.
I think it's I know it's the 9th. I don't know if it's tomorrow or I think it's next month. And but back to what I was saying, we laugh at this general same shit, and I think that obviously, and Rob can attest to this and give his opinion. I definitely sometimes catch myself eating my own foot, as the saying goes, or where it is, when I say stuff that might be a little crossing the line. And I can tell that by when Rob really opens his eyes wide and really sits there quietly. But I think at the end of the day, obviously just joking. Obviously doesn't mean it sincerely,
Yeah.
but it's something that I can find humor, and I know he's not going to freak out. And he's someone who takes life easy and doesn't stress out too much. Obviously, he's going to voice his frustration about stuff. But it's just I was so frustrated about that because I put so much work and effort into this, and obviously it doesn't show a whole lot, the analytics side, but I enjoy it. So to do that, it really stinks. So who knows? To my viewers and listeners out there, who knows? Maybe in a year from now, you may see it back up there with a different title. Not going to make any promises, but you never know. But I had to mention because it was so frustrating, and it ruined my day. And I felt bad because the person she was communicating with, a dear close friend of mine, I just was pissed off that he was part of that, not that he was the middleman. And I kept saying, okay, I'm done talking about this, let's finish, I'm done, good day. And I kept continuing and continuing, so I had to put on pause conversing with him for a while. But the SK tennis team senior night's tomorrow, and I'm sure I'll be there, so I have to put on a good face and whatnot. But it was just unfortunate. But I know this episode's not going to have that problem because Rob isn't a snowflake.
No.
But I had to do that, and we're pushing for it. If you have a problem with what I do on here, say get the fuck out of here. I don't care. This is my show, and I'm going full force, baby, to the moon. And if I blow up at the sun, I'm getting shot down in May, as Frank Sinatra said. But on a completely 180-degree move, the 180 challenge, sports world, we from time to time talk about a little sports, and I think that's where a part of our friendship, our bond is. And it's been very interesting, I would say, that the playoffs to a certain degree. I mean, LeBron James, no, LaFraud, LaMickey, Jaundice. Have you seen that pic? There's a picture out there that says all of his names, like LaMickey, La Academy Award, La Fraud, La Fake, La Injury,
La Cancun. That's another one I saw.
La Banana Boat. Where's the photo? I think I saved it. I'll read him off. But he lost the first round, which is something that hasn't happened in his career ever. Oh, here's the names. I got this in this Discord group. So part in advance. But this is what people made up. La bitch, la shit, la crybaby, la flop, la fraud, la Mickey Mouse, la Adam Silver, la save, la super team, la carried by AD, La 361, La Bubble, La Ass, La Choke, La Cakewalk, La China, La Trash, La Refs, La Poop, La Bald, La Bum, La Ballsack, La Garb, La Goofy, La Soft, La Jaundice, La Lames, La Top 50, La Shame, La Trash, and La 8 Point. I laughed so hard because I've been watching the playoffs in this Discord group, and it's just been interesting. And then you have LeBron losing first round, which is incredible that he loses with a Disney. And it's just
Wait, did you see that video? Do you know the GTA 5 role playing? How like people do that online?
Yeah.
So some guy went into the same server that Anthony Davis was in and ran over him and kept saying a Disney. And Anthony Davis kicked him from the server.
Well, what I laugh about this whole thing, and I think God. It's when I laugh about this, and it's the whole thing. The part of LeBron I hate. You see him; he gets poked in the eye. He's down for 84 seconds. Then you see the guy from the Mets a few weeks ago who gets pitched. He gets hit in the fucking face with the baseball. Is down for only 36 seconds. And it's like, why did he still do this? Paid off the refs. And it's just sad, but it's interesting. Then you have the Suns, who had a very good year this year, and now they're moving forward. They beat LeBron, and Chris Paul seems to be playing well. It's been really interesting. You see Brooklyn destroying Milwaukee by 30 points the other night, 40. It's interesting to see that. It will be scary though next year. I mean, this was the play-in game with Golden State and Memphis, I think it was, that they lost that game or two, and then now next year they're going to be healthy. Clay's going to be back, and he's going to be bionic man. And it's going to be scary for them. Hopefully, my Rockets are a little bit better next year. I mean, hopefully they sign back Kevin Porter Jr., who's a pretty good ball player.
He said he wanted to sign
Yeah,
back.
no, I don't know if they will. They should get rid of John Wall personally. He's too old. Now I know, and Christian will be back. He won't be injured, hopefully. Now I know, and they'll have Jay Tate as well. But hopefully, now although this past season Christian was down, so they had to put Kelly Olynyk in, and he played very well. Although most of the team was injured, so hopefully he comes back and he plays the same level as. Who knows though? But I'm curious on what's been like, what your perspective on this whole playoffs has been like, since you're the bigger basketball fanatic than myself.
Well, I wouldn't say that. You're up there.
Oh, thanks.
But it's so interesting because there's not like the usual faces that we're like used to seeing. It's like a whole new band, and also every single team in the playoff run now either hasn't won a championship or last won a championship since the 70s.
Yeah,
which is also pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's that right there was crazy how that happens. It's unfortunate that the Knicks lost, but they'll be back. The thing is with me though, with the Knicks, I mentioned this a few weeks ago when was in the playoffs, obviously, but for some reason, like obviously my opinion has changed kind of, but I think this was just not, I don't want to say a fluke season, but more of like a rarity to happen. For Julius Randle have such a great season, Reggie Bullock, Taj Gibson. Ugh. Personally, they should have played Obi Toppin a little bit more, but I don't know if they'll be back next year to the playoffs. Maybe. I don't. I think this is just a luck of the draw for them. It'll be interesting to see how far the Hawks can go into the playoffs. They'll be, I think, decent next year. I don't know. I think a lot of teams just got lucky this year because other teams weren't as good. What I wanted to mention also, something that I rubbed me the wrong way a little bit, and was your Celtics and the news of Ainge retiring and Brad Stevens taking over as president of basketball operations. What the hell? I didn't get that. I don't know. I think he retired personally. Now you're a Celtics fan, so, and you've been to many games, unlike myself, but I don't take it. Oh, he's retiring from that job. I feel like he was going to be fired eventually at some point, and he was just trying to escape as soon as he could, because that's not as bad as being fired. And I think similar to Brad Stevens. But when you saw that, what were you thinking? Not just that, I guess, in general, but also the season that they kind of ended with.
So when I first saw the news, I was at work, and I was like, I had to like drop everything I was doing to just kind of follow along with it. So I was like, did they he retired, air quotes, but was it like kind of like under the table, like, hey, you're fired?
Yeah.
But was it like, because Danny Ainge is like also like a big Trumpy, so he made a lot of comments about like
God.
Yeah. So the owners probably like looked at it like, hey, like it's not good like to have this guy here, because a lot of the big free agents aren't like with that. So it's best if he goes so that we can so that free agents will like want to come here, because with all the racist comments and all that going on.
I didn't know about that. I didn't know that he was a Trumpy. I like that. I like the nick that name.
The Trumpeteers.
That's another good one. But no, it was sad how they ended their season, and it was just sad how this whole went, and it'll be interesting to see how they maneuver. Now they mentioned that Jason Kidd took his name out from the running for Portland. Would you like to see him as the coach of the Celtics? I know.
No.
Why not?
Because you saw how he was with Milwaukee when he was there, and after he left. When he left, they were like a top 3 seed in the East, and they have been ever since. Before that, they were like a struggling 7 seed.
Yeah. Do you think he'll get a head coaching job soon?
Not in Boston.
Boston. Which I don't know why. I mean, I remember when they said when Frank Vogel was hired, the words were being whispered around that it was really Jason Kidd's job. He was going to be the head coach, and Frank Vogel was just kind of like the test dummy. But
Mm.
it is what it is. What do you think they'll do with Kemba? Do you think they'll keep him, or do you think he'll go somewhere else in a trade? Maybe?
To be honest, like I don't know. That contract is a bad contract, but it wasn't a bad contract when we signed him.
Yeah.
But now it is because he's basically like damaged goods, you know.
Do you think they'll
But
trade him?
the thing is, who wants him?
Yeah, true.
You know.
Ship him back to Charlotte.
Oh boy, yeah. Give us LaMelo Ball.
Yes, that'll really help. But they'll have to also look for a center who's good because you have Robert Williams. Never mind. They play him. They barely played him this year.
It's because he's always hurt.
Yeah.
He's the same scenario, and it's not like the same reoccurring injury.
Yeah.
It's always something new, and it's like, are you gonna play? Like,
Yeah.
are you, like what's going? Why are you keeping hurt?
Come on now.
But I do like him a lot.
No,
he's
really I
really
remember
good.
during the playoffs he had like 11 rebounds in one game.
Yeah.
But let's see. They have Robert Williams. Tristan Thompson can't keep his fingers off of Kardashian. He can't concentrate just on basketball. Daniel Tice. No, they don't have Tice anymore. So who else do they have a center besides Taco Fall, who moves at like 40 miles after 8 hours?
You know, I think that might be it. But I like Tristan Thompson. He's a good role player.
Yeah. He's always in the news for having to deal with Kardashian, but Chloe, the one who definitely didn't get plastic surgery recently. Taco Fall runs like a 8.5 40-yard dash. He moves like a 90-year-old man. The playoffs just been interesting, and it's been more enjoyable to watch because I usually kind of dip out, but it's been interesting to watch. Another thing that it got me triggered was the dud of a fight that was this past weekend. That was the Mayweather.
Oh.
Now I know you said you saw some of it, but it was the second fight beforehand was very well. One of the guys couldn't speak English, and he kept bear hugging him, and he almost was disqualified. But the Paul fight was such a dud. It reminded me of Rocky VI, and where Mason the Line Dixon barely trains. It looks disgusting. You see Floyd coming out with his fucking leather OnlyFans hat and his gator skin outfit. Says he barely trains. Then you have Floyd, then you have Jake Paul or Logan Paul, wherever it was, who's ridiculous in his own mind. It just was a no knock. The rules were stupid to begin with. 8 3-minute rounds. They're not saying who's the winner at the end of the fight. No, not giving the numbers for who won each round. And then knockouts count or whatever. It was stupid. Like, what is this? And think, he's the biggest bank robber ever, Floyd Mayweather, going home with $100 million, and Paul gets 18. It was, or whatever it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was 18.
And then like you said, what they were like at the end of the fight, hugging like they were high school girls.
A high school reunion.
Yeah, high school reunion.
So much hugging.
Yeah, although they just saw them a few months later during winter break. It was so. I don't get it. It was so pathetic. And then there's one picture I saw online. I might have mentioned to see you where someone zoomed in at Paul's rear end, his trunks, and looked like there was a stain. And someone said he shat himself halfway through the fight. I mean, to think about that. I mean, honestly, I think either one of us would do that because you're fighting the greatest fighter of our generation. Although the last handful of fights he said are duds. Jake Paul. Who's the Irish dude? Conor McGregor. Don't even know who he fought before then. Might have been Pacquiao, maybe. Who Pacquiao is old and washed up.
Yeah, but he should have won that.
Yeah, it was. He should have won the last 3, but it was just disappointing to watch. Grant, I didn't have to pay for it. Someone illegally streamed it. I didn't. Just kidding. We didn't illegally stream it. No, it just was sad. But hey, props to them for making all that money. But Floyd, God bless him. And which was interesting though, because I saw Stephen A. Smith made this, and it was a valid point. You have Jake Paul, not even a boxer really, more of a social media influencer, if anything, a blue, or what do you want to call it, a fresh boxer, hasn't really boxed, lost to KSI in an actual fight, then goes the distance with Floyd Mayweather, who's 50-1. Floyd Mayweather didn't knock him out. What does that do to his reputation? So I think if all that stupid shit Stephen A. Smith has said, he did make a solid point in regards to that and what that does for his legacy. I hope, hopefully, though, Floyd retires for good and doesn't keep coming back for these exhibitions, because it's not even fun watching him anymore, because he does the same thing. He dogs at the first few rounds and he finally lands a few on him. It just was tough. But as I mentioned though earlier in the show, OJ Simpson Appreciation Month. It's I think a good idea. We twice a year, March 2nd, this is number 32, and then July 9th for his birthday.
Yep. I cross-referenced it. Yeah, it's July 9th.
Yeah, July 9th. So we'll have it twice a year. I think we should go Buffalo, San Francisco, close down the streets, have a bunch of events. Las Vegas too. It's a great idea. Now, obviously joking. He's a fucking killer, a murderer. Double homicide.
He's proven not guilty. So technically, no.
But if I did do it, this is how I do it. If the glove don't if the glove don't fit, then you must acquit. But no, and I mentioned this on the show before with you, but to my guests, I mean, you have everyone out there who's viewing this and listening to this has to check out his Twitter account. You know, if he wasn't a murderer, he would have been verified, but after his first week on Twitter. But his stuff, he's very newsworthy, very into current events, likes to give his opinion. Great fantasy analyst, whatever the word is. Get Matthew Berry, Adam Schefter out. Or Booger McFarland. We want OJ Simpson on ESPN giving us fantasy advice. Andrew Luck, you retired. That was the most sketchiest video he ever did when he said, I'm gonna kill somebody. OJ. But no, as I said before, one day he'll be on this show. Now, he can't leave Las Vegas, so I'd have to go down to Las Vegas and interview him there, because I think he still has to stay in his apartment complex. But no, it's such a. And the thing is, I don't even understand it, how he's becomes this much like people ogle over him like we do, and how he's just someone that, you know, it's just larger, you know, than life in a sense. But he was on the news. But no, which always. And the thing which I enjoy is that he gave us a great idea, and always give me some stuff to do at camp. And the juice is loose. The game that is the greatest game ever on the playground. Which I have to be careful though sometimes around, you know, Mr. Vinny and other staff and other adults there, because people know who the juice is, or it may know the nickname being OJ, and that's who the game's named after. Only because a Hotline Monster's already name of a game. And, you know, we just changed it to the juice just because we thought it was funny. But I don't want it to make it seem like I'm for people who got murdered. So I have to be careful in some instances. But it's just amazing. He's such a great guy. But it's been a long road, and you know, I'm looking forward to the summer. I can't come fast enough, and it's just exciting. I'm looking forward to going to Applebee's again with yourself and Ryan and the rest of the crew, and this new new member. I almost said blood. This new staff member having more fires in my house soon. And are you? What I want to mention, there's a training in North Kingstown for the summer camps. Are you guys going to that?
Not anymore. I needed to tell you about that. Well, our boss pulled out. She said, no, we can't do it. She pulled out like 2 days ago. I was like, because I reminded her, I was like, hey, we're still going to that training on Saturday. She goes, no, we can't do it. And I was like,
yeah, no, that would have been great, but we'll have to hold down the ship in your town. But no, it'll be interesting, and hopefully it'll be better than Kemp College when I was a fresh member of the staff. But what do I want to say? No, it's been a long road. I'm looking forward to the summer, and Rob, I wish you all the best of luck with the beach and, you know, the camp. And I obviously will be in contact from now until forever. And as I always say, sincerely from the deepest depths of my heart, I thank you for not just doing this, but what you've done for myself and bring a bright light to this, and for helping me out the last 4 times doing this. It means a great deal. One day we'll be able to do this in person, hopefully, and it'll be a big operation. And without further ado, if those out there, as I want to mention this one last time, if you like what you've listened to or viewed this week's edition of the show with yours truly, my brother for life, Rob Cruz, do us a favor, do Rob a big favor because he really wants you to do it. Leave a like, smash that fucking like button to the moon, like AMC and GameStop stopped. Smash the subscribe button, click that bell notification button so you're notified when more great stuff and other videos happen. If you're listening to it, click that follow button, heart, share, and that bell notification. And what else? That's it. That's all I can think of. I thank you all for tuning in this week. And in the words of Johnny Carson, I bid you all a heartfelt good night and see you soon.